Should have said accept by now.
Yeah, it popped up on mine. I pushed accept. So
Yeah, I pushed OK on live stream.
All right. What's up, Crash Nation? This is Jonathan Wood. I'm alongside. We got James the Fireball Fisher joining us along with Michael Belcher tonight. We got an action-packed episode of the Crashed It podcast. We thank each and every one of you for listening on either if you're joining us on YouTube or on Spotify. We thank you for following us. Remember to like and share. But tonight we're going to talk about our season opener with Russellville, Missouri. And right now I've got joining me James the Fireball Fisher coming off the win from the opening night. So James, in the season opener, what'd you think coming out? Were you confident in your cars, or was it more of a testing stage, or how'd you feel starting it out, just coming out, being back with everybody?
a little nervous first part of the night. I mean, the old Cavalier I brought out for the first heat, which was heat 4, I believe. I I did nothing to that car over the off season. I threw a battery in it and threw the beer cans out, and that's literally it. But it come out and I started the pole and finished first. That car just got out and performed like it was supposed to. So, I mean, it was just like riding a bicycle. Went out there and did its thing, and I was pretty confident after that. I knew going to the main, but of course, having that other car out, the Cobalt, I was a little worried about that car because I've put a lot of time back in that thing. That's I was worried. I was a little nervous hopping back in that car.
I bet. Oh, you got through for the people that weren't there that just listened to this podcast. You got through in a different car that you ended up taking to the main. Was that the old trusty Cavalier? What heat was that in?
I took the Cavalier in Heat 4. Yeah, Heat 4, I believe.
And how was the track conditions in the heats for you?
I I thought the track felt awesome. It was a little slick. It had that perfect slickness when you started out, and then as you went, it got tackier through the night, and there wasn't no major holes or anything. So I thought the track held up really good. A little chilly, but track conditions were good.
Yeah, it was great. And so on that Cobalt, did it run good in the heat, or did you have some issues that you're battling, or take us through the heat in the slow bolt or Cobalt?
Yeah, so I don't know if it was. I'll just play it like, hey, I just pretended to not know how to drive that car and throw everybody off. But no, when I took it out there, first corner, I know they had just wet the track, but I come down there and pulled the e-brake and turned the wheel, and I was pointing back at everybody, and that was a little embarrassing for sure. I'm not sure if it was my nerves or just transitioning from that Cavalier back into the Cobalt, but I went down and made the next corner and did the same thing again. So I just kind of backed up and set off to the side of the track and let everybody make a few laps, and I figured I'll just jump in behind everybody and kind of get a feel for the car again. I really didn't get to drive it much last year towards the end of the season, so I spent more time in that Cavalier. But it come around.
Yeah, it looked like it. So in the B main, when you took that out there, you'd already had a transfer spot. It looked like you were got Joshua joining in late, but it looked like you were getting a feel for the car and getting the hang of it. Um, were you just out there testing like how it cornered and stuff, or it looked kind of like you're cruising to me?
Yeah, I mean, we sat back in the pits, and I mean, most people that know that car knows all last year I'd fought issues with it. So, and it seemed to run really good in the heat. I just couldn't drive it for whatever reason. So, uh, I told myself I was going to take it back out for a B just to see how it would drive and see if we got the kinks worked out of it. And I tried to just go slow off the start and let everybody pass me up so I could just feel the car out. But uh, ended up running a few laps, and then I liked how it was running, so I just started giving it more and more, and it held up. So I wanted to beat on it before I tried to take it to the main.
You feel pretty confident in it? I so in from the announcer's booth, I'll tell you what in the B, I was like, man, he's having issues again because it looked like you're out for a Sunday drive. There's a couple cars out there just cruising around. I think they're just already had transfer spots, and you're just filling your way out. And
Yeah, yeah, we talked about it when we were in lineup. Me and Dylan, we already had our
yeah,
spots.
that's who it
So,
was.
yeah, we
Yeah,
already had our ticket to the main, so we were just going to go out and play around. And so I had several people come up to me and they're like, "Man, that car just don't quite run right, huh?" And I'm like, "No, it ran great. We were just jacking around, get some more seat time in it, feel it back out."
yeah. So you're getting ready for the A main. Um, did you have butterflies or anything, or as a seasoned veteran being in the A main, what goes through a driver's head getting ready to pull on the track?
Uh, I was still slightly nervous about the car. I mean, it just being what it is and how it was last year. Uh, that was where my nerves were at, was on the car, how the car was going to act, what was going to happen with the car. But it drove like a completely different car this year. So I think all the work's finally paid off.
Yeah, and Dylan wants autographs, he says on our YouTube chat. Uh, Still trying to figure out how to get these to slide over where everybody can see them as we're talking. But I'm gonna figure that out. It was a colder night. Um, there's
Yeah.
quite a bit of fans that stuck around though through the night. Did you have any a fan club following you around? I know your dad was down there cheering you on, and
Yeah, my dad, one of my neighbors come down, and my mom was down actually, and of course Alan, and he had a couple friends down there too as well. So we had quite a few people down there.
yeah. So, what do you think about the racing overall? In the night, the heats, the features, was it pretty clean or was it pretty rough out there?
I didn't get to watch many heats, but the heat that I ran in the Cavalier, just everything seemed really clean, and the heat in the Cobalt, well, we know how that went, but it was good racing. After I got out of the way, everybody looked like they were doing all right. So, but then the feature really went really smooth compared to last year's opening season. I felt like it's it. Everybody felt pretty racy.
Yeah, it was really looked like to me anyway. I mean, it's always point of view or perspective when you're on the sidelines, but it looked like it was pretty clean. There was a few shots that happened in the corner that I felt like maybe they could have let out, the car behind didn't have to get all the way up in those people's doors, but it was pretty racy from the most part. And um, I kind of like them on them GoPros I'm putting in people's cars. I get to kind of see, you know, I feel like I'm more on the track that way if I was kind of
Yeah,
on the camera views. But
yeah. I thought the
uh,
GoPros inside the car looked really cool.
we're gonna. I have Corey Burton. He built me a socket. I'm gonna have from the next race. I'm gonna have a camera down there. And if you guys want a GoPro, I'm gonna be down there early for all the tech and stuff for the next one. We'll go ahead and drill a pilot hole and we'll have a mount and a camera. I want one per heat out there, and we'll have a socket hooked up to an impact. You just zap it on there, and zap it right back off when you pull off the track, and the next guy can get one. So
Sweet.
that's the plan going forward with the in-car cams.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah. So how'd your race go? For the people that haven't watched the video, that was in the A main, that was quite a race between you guys, back and forth. How many laps? I don't know how many laps you led, but it took you a while to get to the lead.
Yeah, it seemed like I hung like between third and fifth most of the race. I kind of got pushed off track a little bit, way out to the outside there once, but I think that was pretty early on in the race. But I felt like I held third to fifth most of the race, and I don't know how many laps was left, but probably somewhere around 5 or so. I'm assuming. Yeah, I don't know. It felt like forever. I knew I'd pulled up towards first, and I was looking around, looking at who was behind me, and I'd seen Dylan and Piter nipping at my heels, and I knew we had to get it going. I was waiting for that white flag.
Yeah, it always feels like it's going forever when you're not in the lead. And then if you're hunting the lead, it goes by way too fast.
Oh yeah.
So who's your favorite driver to race out there? Did you have a favorite battle that took place on the track for the A main?
I would say the us first through fifth. That's the whole first through fifth field there was that was a fun race because we're all friends. It's just cool watching us all take first through fifth. So
And I'm just responding to a chat real quick. Hunter or Camden, you're welcome to have a GoPro in your car, buddy. We'll get one in there. One of our youth drivers, Camden Tobin's watching live. He asks, I want a GoPro in my car. That won't be no problem. The only thing with the youth, I learned I cannot have like it's got to be facing out the car. We can't have in car behind them because it's child endangerment. Apparently, what we're doing here. So, found that out the hard way from YouTube. So we're gonna steer away from that.
Yeah, windshield
That's
mounted.
why it just says bump and run on there. It doesn't say. Yeah, I've learned that. So
Makes sense.
yeah, I have an awesome video of my daughter's car, but I can't post it up. But my wife got laid over. Crazy. Uh,
Looked like she
but
had a ball out there.
oh yeah. So do you have anyone you want to thank for helping you get to the track or just helping you around the shop before we get you off here?
Yeah, first and foremost, my fiance. She's been awesome. She was probably my biggest fan that night. And that's and we got the Fisher Family Racing, and I got my sponsors, Larry's Transmission, and the Crafting Corner with that's Shannon, and Doug McKenna at Hold Fast, and I have Nobles Motorsports, and that about wraps up the sponsors. All the other friends and family that helped out along the way.
How many autographs did you have to sign the other night?
None yet.
Have you? None yet? Uh-oh. Guys, we're going to have to fix that. You're going to have to start carrying around a Sharpie. That slow bolt's starting to get a name for itself out there, that car. I had like 3 kids sit below me when you pull on track. Oh, he's in the slow bolt. Have no clue who they were, but
yeah, everybody asked me why I called it the slow bolt. When he rearranged the letters on the trunk, the Cobalt LT, it made slow bolt, so that's what it's been called ever since.
well, it's not slow when it's working. It's working right. So
yeah, I'm hoping it seems to be. I believe all the kinks are worked out of it now.
James, you got anything you want to say to all your fans or anything like that before you get off here?
Just come support the shows and support us. have a good time. We enjoy it as much as they do.
Yeah, we appreciate you showing up. It's always fun to watch you and Alan on the track. Yeah, he was coming for you. I don't know if he told you, but watching that video, you guys were about to have a battle, it looked like, between the brothers, but he looked like his axle went out or something.
Yeah, he lost an axle. That was kind of a quick hobo build. We got a build for him, and we just haven't. I mean, it's stripped, but we haven't really got to start building it yet. He cleaned up his Cavalier at Total Destruction last year, and we got a car sitting here. It just needs built. We haven't had the time. He works on the road, and I got a busy schedule too. But it's a 3100 car as well. I've tried to talk him into putting a 22 in it, and he rode in my car after the B race, and he goes, "Yeah, and you want me to pull that 3100 out?" So we'll probably leave it in there.
I would too. Well, congrats on the win. It's always great talking to you, and we'll see you at the next one that you're at. So,
Yep, I'll be at New Bloomfield.
all right, we'll see you there. And everybody, we want to thank you for coming on the Crash It podcast.
Yep, thank you for having me.
Yeah, we appreciate you, James.
Yep.
Our next guest on the podcast tonight, we got a first timer here on the Crash It podcast, Michael Belcher. Thanks for coming on the podcast, Michael. Can you hear me, Michael? I think we just lagged out. Michael. We're fighting technical problems.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Are
There
you
we go.
back? All right. Back.
Yep.
It's like we're having tech issues. Wow. So thanks for coming on the podcast. Man, so Russellville, we've always called you the wild card. Just us
Yeah.
lucky sevens guys. Because we don't know what kind of Michael's gonna show up to the track, but man, as of late, starting kind of like towards the end of last year, we really started seeing you come on as like an actual like competitive figure eight racer. Something's clicking now. You've made the A, and
Yeah.
man, you had a run going until you decided to put it on its side.
Yeah, my
But
rider, it was his birthday that night.
oh, you had to give him a good birthday present, good little surprise.
And it was so slow. It happened
Oh,
so slowly.
we're gonna come back to that. But before we get into all that, what's your number, Michael? For the listeners that don't
27.
know. 27, is there a story behind that?
There actually is. We lost my stepdad in a house fire, and afterwards, the number 27 popped up everywhere, and that's just the number I ended up picking, and that's where that number came from.
Yeah, we always like hearing the backstories to numbers. There's usually some kind of story. So, how long have you
Yep.
been driving with
Uh,
figure eight?
I've been doing the figure eights now for about 4 years.
4 years. And
Yeah, and before I done that, I'd done regular derbies for about 2.
okay. So how'd you get into that? Demolition derby or figure eight?
Um, a friend of mine got me into the derbies, but then we seen figure eight post on Facebook one day, and was like, "Hey, let's go watch it." So we came and watched it there in Eldon, and after that, I was like, "Yeah, I got to run in it."
Yeah.
So then I've been stuck in figure eights now.
Yeah. So is derby driver transition figure eight driver for you?
Yep. Yep.
Is that how it went?
Car lasts longer.
Yeah, we see that. Yeah, that's And for me, that's what it's always been. I just you put so much time in a car and then you go destroy it. But a figure eight car, you drive it all year if you drive it good and well, if
Yeah.
your bumper stays on.
Yeah, this next time it should stay on this next time.
I was gonna say, who's welding their bumpers on?
That's what I've been working on now.
Yeah, build you a bracket. They'll weld that thing too.
Yep.
So, take us through your opening night experience coming in the heat race. Is this a new car?
It
New build?
actually it's the Honda Accord that I ran last year, but I had to get a new time. The timing went out of it last year. The timing belt snapped, so I had a buddy of mine put the timing in like 2 weeks before the race, and when he put it in, I had him set it one tooth in advance, and I ended up giving some actual V treads instead of just having straight street tires. And they called me first in the first heat, and I was super nervous because I always hate the first heat. I always hate the first heat just because everybody's watching that first heat. Track ain't broken yet or nothing. And
Usually
went out
it's a
there,
little wet.
yeah, and ended up going out there with first heat and ended up drawing my ticket to the main and was pretty
Yeah,
excited
so
about it.
you were winning that race, and it looked like there was some kind of like problem in the center there, and you kind of clipped someone, and your whole front end came off. Did you get it back together before the A, or did you just go
No,
out there with no bumper?
I just took a ratchet strap and ratchet strapped the bumper on and went out there with it ratchet strapped on just to protect the radiator and whatnot and just went for it.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I was gonna pull up the video and see if you had the bumper on there or not, but I didn't have time, so I was like, I'll just ask him. Um,
Yeah, we ended up ratchet strapping it on because the generator wouldn't start.
yeah. So let's see here. Let's see. I'm gonna pull up your thing. I think you got so in the figure eight, the first heat here. Yeah, you got second place. You came in right behind Dylan White, and
Yeah,
you guys had
yeah, he got me
some
right at
quick
the end.
quick cars in that first heat with Dylan White and Nick Long. Dustin Thompson had his car flying around. Corey Jenkins. There was some, and I mean Troy Mitchell. There was some fast cars in there. And you had
Yeah,
Kevin
and
Whitney, Anthony Wilson.
after watching the video, the car it's running better than what it was last year, but I'm not quite. It wasn't quite fast enough yet. So I'm working on getting the tune computer or the computer in it tuned or whatever
Wow.
to
Well,
get
it
just a little bit more snappy.
looked like it was running really good for from us and our point of view. And
Yeah,
great
for being
race.
stuck, it went really bad.
Being the wild card, we used to call you that because every now and then you would catch someone in the center. But we've seen over the years that looks like a transition to us. You've kind of started saving your cars more and kind of being more of the racer through saving their car through the center. Is that a new driving style for you, or
Uh, I'm gonna try to save my cars through the crossing, but if somebody hits me, I'm gonna hit them back if I get the chance.
oh, I love it. But, yeah, you were definitely competitive, and so did you go back and watch any kind of video of the A main, or um,
Yeah, yeah, I did.
so you were really making your way up through the pack. I don't know if you caught on to that, kind of watched where everybody else were, but or was during the race, but you were making your way up through the pack, and you ended up 16th. What after the rollover? Was that what took you out, or
Um, I rolled up on a tire and fuel ran out.
so that's what took you out then? You had fuel
Yeah,
in your car or something?
yeah, yeah. It leaked out on the track when it rolled over.
So what was your first feat? Was that your first time ever making the A main?
Yes, it was, and it was exciting after when it happened, but when it got closer to that A main, it was a little nervous.
I bet. First time you're pulling on the
I
track
got
with
back.
20 of the best drivers in the whole entire state, maybe the United States, and you're holding your own out there. Looking back, you gotta feel confident going into the next one that you're going to be running in, just by the way your
Yeah,
car performed, the way you performed as a driver.
but yeah, it was nerve wracking, but it was a good feeling at the same time.
Yeah. So, do you have any? I mean, for a second, do you have any one that you want to thank, or any anybody
Uh,
you want to say thank you to for helping you get to the track or helping you at the shop or anything like that?
yeah, I do. I got my sponsors, Bill's Painting, and then a buddy of mine, Ian Ward, with a remodeling company that he's doing, and then my wife, my kids, and then Dustin Gibson. He's my teammate now. He's running with me, and then Nicholas Lemmings and Chase Graves. They're all right, my passengers, and they've all helped me get to the track. And if it wasn't for them, I probably wouldn't have been where I was because they helped me out a lot.
Yeah, it's always good to have support at home. So, did I catch it? Did you say you're on a team now? You have a teammate?
Yeah, yeah, yep. And it's Poor Boy Team Poor Boys,
Well, you got the shirt on. Heck yeah.
and it's actually we done the cars blue, purple and teal for
Yeah,
suicide awareness because we
yeah, I was
lost
gonna
my dad.
say. Yeah, I was gonna say there's a story behind that paint scheme. I was glad you brought up the it's for suicide awareness because like when I asked for the drivers to send in stuff, you sent me in that it was for the suicide awareness, your paint scheme and stuff like that. So uh yeah, I was glad you touched on that. It seems like we got a lot of drivers that have some kind of meaning behind their paint scheme this year. Did you catch on to that?
Yeah, we lost my. Yeah,
Kind of lost you for a second again. Did you still there? I think he's in like a bad service area. We'll get him back here, I'm sure, here in just a second. But still there, Michael? Well, while we're waiting, uh, here he's back again. We're
yep.
having sorry, we're having a little connection here and there problem, but you're back now. I had a chance to look at our chat, and they're all talking crap on James still. So, but
And the biggest one I want to thank is my son Hunter Belcher. He's doing the Power Wheels. He's my biggest fan.
oh, that's awesome. Yeah, it's good to get the youngins in the sport. We're going to talk about the youth class here in just a minute, but the Power Wheels is where it all starts. That's where we started my daughter, and man, the second she turned 10, and she's like, "All right, I'm of age for the youth bump and run class." So we built her a car together. I said, "Well, you're gonna junk it. You're gonna help with it." So
Yep.
it was pretty cool to see a girl out there, 10 years
Oh
old,
yeah.
stripping out a car, and definitely had memories. She helped a lot more than I thought she would on that car. So
Yeah, he thinks he's already talking about getting into youth. And I'm like, you got a couple years still.
yeah, they said you're in a bad area. Trees must be blooming.
Finally. Yeah, it's actually crazy. Come on Wi-Fi, like our internet.
Yeah. Sometimes we get good connection and sometimes it's iffy. I don't know. I don't know how the band works for these things,
Yeah.
but um so what's goes through your head when you're pulling on the track? Are you nervous? Do you have a pregame routine that you do?
No, I just nervous. Yeah, nervous as all get out. Nervous ain't even the word for it. Like when I get out there, everything gets zoned out, but what's in front of me on that track. That's why I catch somebody in the crossing because I just zone everybody out and focus on where I'm going, and I don't see nobody coming until I hit them.
I didn't see that guy. He came out of
Yeah,
nowhere.
yeah,
I was in the zone, man.
yeah. That's
Oh,
why usually when they throw the red flag, that's usually why they got to stop me because I'm in the zone and don't even see the red flag until they're throwing it at me.
there you go. Yeah. Yep. This is our first year, actually, full year of stopping for bumpers if they're in the area. And I kind of they're in a danger zone. And I was wondering if they're going to throw one for yours. But
I know. I think everybody ran that thing over.
I was, I know I seen it fall off. So I radioed, I don't know if they heard me. I've got to start wearing a headset because I don't know what I even say or don't say on that dang radio. But I thought I said there was a bumper on track. I was kind of recording the bumper for like a
Yeah.
lap. I was like, oh yeah, I need to focus on what's going on out here. But um, so what's um what's your favorite part of figure eight racing?
Uh, the memories with family and just getting to meet new people.
Yeah, it's definitely a sport that's based on camaraderie, I'd say. Um,
Yeah.
there's there's just a lot of friends that become family out there and a lot of family that backs you up and
Yep.
supports you and it's just crazy. I've always said it's hard to find another sport like it. Um, because I feel like it's an even sport too. Yeah, there's cars that are built better than others, but when you're on that track and you could be an old hoopty, but if that thing's catching and the wheels are hitting the ground and you're getting traction,
Yep.
you
And
may
you're
you may be
driving other
going,
cars.
yep, you might have a chance. So,
Yeah. This year
um,
I'm kind of feeling a little confident, a little bit more confident this year.
oh yeah, you were in a tough heat and you were driving off until you got in that caught up in the middle. But
Yeah.
this year, that just goes to show you. I mean, the talent and all you know the heats are stacked. It seems like every heat's stacked now, and
Yeah.
um,
And I
it
actually
only
do got
takes
another car that we're getting ready right now too.
what?
I got another car I'm getting ready right now too.
Oh yeah.
I got a 2000 Eclipse,
Oh, those make good ones.
and I got it gave to me from a friend of mine. He got it for me for free, and the motor's pulled out of it, ready to go back in it, but it's turboed and all that good jazz.
Oh, I can't wait to see it out there.
Yeah, I'm kind of excited about it. I'm pretty anxious.
So if you had some music when you were pulling on the track, like a baseball player that's walking up, what would be playing when Michael Belcher is coming on the track?
Um, Metallica number one.
Like it. Is that your pump up song?
Yep.
Dylan White says, "Don't worry, he's gonna push you to the lead next time."
I know he was on my tail the whole time, and then got me right
Oh
at the
yeah,
end.
you guys had a good battle going, and he got around you and kind of checked out at the end, but you weren't too far behind.
No.
And so, as a driver in this series, do you prefer two transferring out of the heat or just one?
Uh, two.
Yeah, that's something they kind of started middle of last year, I think, and I think they talked to all the drivers, and most of the drivers said, "Hey, we want two out of the heats, and if you make a B, you get one chance, and you got to be the winner." And that's kind of the way they did it for the opening night. And all the drivers that we talked to, they kind of like that setup. You know, two top two
Yeah.
from the heat, and then the B is you got to be it. The B, and as a fan of the sport, I love it because them guys are. When you tell everybody like, man, there's 15 cars getting ready to come on this track for this B main, and they're all going for first place, and
Yeah.
and then you see 10 of them drive off the track, and you're like, man, it could have been any one of them 10. They were all right there. So a lot of guys drove their cars off the track and loaded them up from the Bs, and that's what we want to see. Makes for great racing, and they'll go home and tinker and try to fix and be more competitive in the next one. So
Yeah, that's what was nice. I actually drove mine up on the trailer.
yeah, that was always my goal. I just hope it loads itself. Anything else
Yeah.
we can fix. But Joshua, do you have any questions for Michael? Nope. Nope. Looks like you had a fun ride. First time
Oh
rolling.
yeah, real fun. Yeah, it's first time rolling over.
You scared to do it again, or you gonna hug the tire again?
Oh no, I'll hug the tire again. It was actually fun. It happened so slow. I looked at my rider. I was like, "Yep, here we go." We just slowly went. It took forever for it to get over.
Michael said I could have steered out of it, but I just wanted to experience going all the way on the side.
But yeah, as soon as I felt this hit the tire, I was like, "Yep, here we go."
Did you try to
I'm just
steer
glad
out
we
of it
got
at all,
home.
or did you just like, yeah, we're going over? I'll just
Yeah,
keep her
it
cranked.
was it was it was one of them things that as soon as we touched that tire, that's all it just went right on up over.
Yeah. Using the zone.
Yep, there was no steering away from it.
Do you have a favorite driver that you like to race against out there?
Uh, James Fisher and Dylan White, them two there. It seems like I've been in the last few years. I'm in the heats with them, and they're both really good drivers.
Oh, yeah. Both very good drivers for sure. Good equipment, good drivers. But
Yep. And Kyle Woodhouse, and he gets in my heat. I already know it's over with. I tell him don't stomp me in the ground too bad.
oh, you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah. Hopefully this year I don't have to worry about it.
You might towards the end, but I don't think you'll have to worry about it for a while. Um, he's on vacation. So, what's your driving style? We've talked about it on here. Have you found what works best for you? Are you one of the drivers that rolls through the corners? You throw your car and like try to drift sideways through the corners, or are you that um just circumstantial driver?
Uh, I usually just keep her in first, and when I get to the tire, pull the e-brake and just keep her smashed.
Right on.
I've noticed letting out of it, it kind of you almost kind of it kind of stops you, but if you keep it smashed, it was just whipping me right around the tire until I flipped over.
Yeah. That's what we want you guys to be doing, just hammering down. And so overall, did you like the track for the all
Yeah,
the
their
conditions
track
of it?
The track it was held up pretty good and everything. There, like James said, there was no holes in it or nothing this year, and it wasn't like too slick. It wasn't too tacky. It was about right.
What's your favorite track to race at?
I would say Eldon and Russellville is the best, my better two.
If you could change one thing about the sport, what would it be?
Um, I'm not sure. Get more people involved.
Yep, that's for sure. We try. um,
Yeah,
we had some drivers that recommended like maybe you should do like a 50-50 like second option. And that's like if say you don't win the 50-50 that night, we should have like another drawing that a driver could put, you know, a chance to ride passenger seat in the A main if I make it in this car for like the 50-50. Like they'll bring an extra helmet. All they'll have to
yeah,
do is just get in the car with them, and that'd be a good way to attract more people, or at least give them the first person view of what it
yeah,
actually feels like out there.
yeah. Because being out there is totally different.
Oh yeah, yeah. Them videos do not do justice of how fast
No,
cars are going and how fast
not
everything
at all.
happens.
Especially when you get hit. Some of them hits in the
Especially when you get
crossing.
hit by the wild card.
Yes, yeah. That some of them hits in the crossing that they hurt.
Got any questions for us before we get you out of here?
I sure don't.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming on the Crashed It podcast. Good luck with the rest of the season with your team poor boys. Is that what it was?
Yep.
We'll have to add that to the team list. Just a two-car team right now, is that what you said?
Yeah, and one of our riders, he's working on getting a car built up. So there's actually going to be three of us whenever he gets his going.
All right. Awesome. We wish you the best of luck, and thanks for taking your time out of a Monday night to come on the podcast and kind of tell the world who Michael Belcher is and kind of go through your race experience from the opening night with us. I appreciate it.
Yes, I appreciate y'all having me.
That was the driver of the number 27, Michael Belcher. We call him the wild card. He always puts on a show. He's fun to watch on the track, and he's really one of the up and coming drivers of the Lucky Seven circuit. The last couple of years, he's really been coming along, and he's really starting to show that he can be competitive out there with the best of the best. He's making his way up through the A main and decided to put it on its top, but it was good visiting with him. And now we're going to recap our Lucky Sevens opening night. I think Michael's going to, you can go ahead and log off if you want,
Yep.
Michael, or you can hang out and just listen. I don't care. But thanks for joining us again one last time.
Yep. Thanks for having me. Y'all have a good night.
Dude. So this weekend we had our opening night with Lucky Sevens Promotions. Overall, weather, it held out for us. It was chilly, but at least it wasn't raining like it did this weekend. It rained like 4 inches at my house last night, and I don't even want to know what the total was. I've got water standing in my swimming pool of a yard out there. Um, but the weather held out for us. It was cooler night. It was a great night for racing, though. We started it right off with Power Wheels in Russellville, Missouri. Them kids went out there. They had a blast. Got to see several of them. They weren't making complete figure eights out there, but they were just having a blast. And I caught a couple videos of some of the parents of the kids that the parents took, and them kids were just crashing into each other and having a good old time in the Power Wheels. And that's what leads us into our next thing. We had our youth bump and run. Bump and run first race of the year for the youth. And here we go. It was my daughter Rayleigh's first race. She came in last and she had a blast doing it. Man, first thing she asked when she got out of the car is when she got to go out for her A main. So she she was pretty disheartened when she found out that was it. She said, "Man, I was just getting warmed up." She said, "When that car hit me in the door, that brought me to life." So, uh, man, it was cool to hear from her. But Hunter Bish, um, the Roadrunner, starting it off strong. He was an early favorite on the year, and he definitely delivered. Leland Bell right there coming in second. Another strong showing for him. And Camden Tobin, another newcomer to the sport, Blaine's kid, he drove out there and put on a show. He's already been on our YouTube asking if we could get a GoPro mounted on his car. So um, that's no problem. But Camden, he drove really good for his first run of the year. And Gatlin Folks, another strong showing for him. Uh, Gavin Stark, he started out real strong. Led the first, I think it was 2 laps maybe, and then he ran into some trouble. But Bethany Baldwin Thompson, she was them girls. Them two. They were hard to beat for the first couple laps. Bethany was making a run for the front and kind of slid into a car and bent her strut pretty good. But um, Joshua, what do you think of the youth drivers that we got showcased on opening night?
Oh, I thought it was awesome. There was really it was Hunter kind of dominated the whole deal, but the move of the night, I think, or at least of this race was from Leland Bell. At one point, I think he was in, it may have been fourth or fifth, and he had just caught up with Gatlin folks. I think Gatlin was running second or third at the time, and he pushed Gatlin, kind of got him turned around and snuck underneath of him. Whenever he did, that Blaine's kid had to go up high. So he made a move right there that really put him into second, and we kind of held it from there. But it was just, kind of one of those things we talked about, just watching drivers develop. And, I think he's getting to where he's taking more chances. And I thought it was cool to watch.
Yeah, it was
No,
really cool
anyways,
to
I
watch.
was losing my hair during the actual race.
Yeah, it was awesome to watch, and man, I just had a blast watching them youngsters. They were really putting on a show, and it was hard for me. Uh, being someone that usually has no problem videoing the action when your kid's out there, I felt like a terrible videographer during that race. I just, man, I just couldn't believe how hard it was to pay attention to what was going on in the track and not zone in on what she was doing. So, uh, yeah, that brought us right in to our first heat of the night, which was our figure eight heat one. It was featured Michael Belcher and Dylan White, Dustin Thompson, Nick Long. It was a really good race. As we heard from Michael, he just caught someone in the center and it knocked his bumper off. And uh, but really, Michael Belcher and Dylan White ran away with this one. What'd you what'd you see? It was a strong showing for that 27 and Dylan. I thought they kind of just took off on everybody, and as you can see in the video, a couple cars got caught up in the corners, and that kind of let them run away with it.
Yeah, I thought it was yeah, I mean they just kind of ran away with it. I know Nick kind of got caught up there at the beginning. Troy was in a car that he shouldn't have been in. Uh he said he's going to try and run a little bit more this year, Troy Mitchell, and he didn't have time to get his actual car ready, so he just kind of hopped in one and went out there. And I know Corey Jenkins he had a fresh car out there. He was trying to get the handle on it. So, but yeah, I mean those two guys did a great job. Dylan kind of put the old veteran move on him and pushed him into some trouble.
Yeah, that's a good race.
He was
It's
on his
good to
game
see
all
Kevin.
night.
Huh?
So he was on his game all night. Dylan was.
Oh yeah, I was. Um, he too rolled out, and we had Alan Fisher, Corey Burton, Garrett Jones out there, Hans Anderson, and his Tiburon, and Kenneth Witt, and Joshua Craig, and Brooklyn Billman. Um, and this one, Alan Fisher, man, he looked like he didn't look like he had a ton of speed, but man, he was hugging them corners really good. And Corey Burton started in the back and worked his way all the way up to second. And that 13K, man, I was cracking up. I don't know if you were watching Garrett and Blaine interactions in the car, but talk about, I don't know if Blaine was excited or getting on to him. It looked like he was going to strangle him from my point of view. But man, that Hans, he said, I was talking to Hans Anderson. I seen him up at Reed's the other day and said, how'd it go? He said, man, that Tiburon, he said, boy, once I get that thing figured out, it's going to be on. He said, I didn't even touch the e-brake all night. I just wanted to see how it did without the e-brake, and it was taking corners good. So he said he's going to try to hit the e-brake every now and then just to see how much better he can get with that one. Um, but yeah, I don't know what happened to Joshua Craig, the Magic Man. It looked like um, something pretty bad happened because I don't think he pulled back out for the B.
No, he scratched. I'm not sure. He said it wasn't running right, I believe. So,
Yeah, that might have been it.
but yeah, Allen just dominated. I don't know what kind of car that is, but it's non-traditional. I think it's like a Nissan or something. But
Oh, Dustin said that bent strut was from that dive bomb on your daughter.
Thompson,
Yeah, that's a lot of cage. So, but Josh was Craig said the second corner he trashed the strut, so that's what took him out. Makes sense. So in heat 3 we had I'm guessing his number is the what for. This it says Q4, but I'm guessing it's what for. Is Jordan Youngmeyer making another strong showing at Russellville, and Jordan Piter coming in second. Those were your top two transfers. Jared Snurch looking really good in his black number 17 car. Old John Summers, he's putting up a fight, coming in fourth place. I think he was that even the heat he was supposed to be in? I think he just jumped in on
he was
that one
supposed to
because
be
he
in
missed
Heat
his
Two.
heat lineup.
Yeah, he was supposed to
So
be
we
in
put him.
Heat Two. And we moved into the
Yeah,
end of this
yeah,
one.
yeah, so we just put him at the end of this one, and he got his way all the way up to fourth place. Otho Fowler had a pretty good run, and that Cody Brinkman, it's good to see him out there. I think that was probably, I think they said that was his first race, if I remember right. He was running with that Never Lift Racing crew, I believe, if I'm thinking of the right guy there. But Brian Young did pretty good in that old 1776 Camry, and I don't know what Nate Dummermuth was leading most of this race, and I asked him after the race. I said, "What happened?" He said, "Well, I seen that white flag coming off coming out. I got a little ramroddy. So I had to ram someone and it broke his axle. So, uh, so allowed Jordan Youngmeyer and Piter to transfer on. But man, they had a battle between those top three pretty much this whole heat.
Yeah, Youngmeyer out there driving junk and just putting on a show. I mean, he was up there with Nate the whole time too. So just showcasing driving ability.
Oh yeah. And Heat 4, James Fireball Fisher, as he said earlier, he brought out the old trusty Cavalier and ended up putting it in the winning circle, followed by Tracy Sneerich. Old Racing Tracy getting a top 2 over Dylan Chilton, which was man, that was a battle on this one. Between those three. And Charlie Burns bringing home 4th, Samuel Hurd 5th, Andrew Rolfing in 6th. I think that was another bumper we seen or something pipe on the track. In this one, Jason Stark coming home in 7th, and Michael Bennett ended up in 8th. I didn't hear what happened to old Michael, but he had a good couple laps going. I don't know what happened in that one to him, but Chilton, man, that was a good race between them top 4. He was trying to, catch up. Just ran out of laps, it looked like.
Yeah, photo finish between him and Tracy. It was I think she had him by a quarter panel. I think they both recognized it, and it was one of those mad dashes. And James just snuck around
Yep.
the tire.
Yep. James was coming around the tire, and Tracy, man, she had like 2 cars on them, but Chilton just hammered it down and hugged that tire. And I mean, it was close. We were like, holy smokes, that was close. Edged it out. I talked to Chilton a little bit, told Easy Money a little bit about his run. Said he really was impressed with his new car and he liked the way it was running. So that was good to hear. But in Heat 5, my pick of the week was Blaine Tobin. He showed out in the heat race, and man, he was just laying down some fast laps, coming home with the win. Brandon Piter getting second. I didn't know Brandon got second. That's awesome.
Camry. Gut and go Camry.
Yeah. Yep. He and Chilton with another close third, got a third place again. And I had a camera on the car on this one. Heat 5 was Dylan Cardwell in his new car. He put a GoPro in his car and he said he was filling it out, and his car showed some speed. Just he kind of got caught up in some traffic at the beginning of the race, and by the time him and Chilton kind of worked his way through it, they ran out of laps. So he was pretty impressed with his first showing of the car. He said he's having fighting it all week, trying to get it to run. So he's happy that it performed well out there.
Dylan,
Johnny Egger, man, this heat right here was stacked.
Did you say Dylan was happy with his heat race?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Ricky Bobby, like he wasn't happy he had to go to the B, but he was happy with the way the car, was running and driving. So
Yeah, I mean the car was running good. I don't know if I'd say he was happy with his driving style. Old Papa Cardwell was over there chewing his ass.
well, I missed all that, but
No, I'm just messing with. No, they did good. Ricky Bobby was out there sticking it to him for a couple laps. He was right up there in the mix.
what happened to him? I was expecting to see his new car out. He said he didn't just get it done yet. I can't wait for the debut of old Ricky Bobby's car, though. Uh, he did pretty good in that old cabbie, though. It's always got speed, it seems like. So, Braden Cleathermos, I think he made it a lap or two, and I think Chilton knocked his axle out or something. But
They just had bad luck all night.
yeah, and then that brought us to Heat 6 on the night. Old Rusty Dustin Jordan bringing home the win, knocked the rust right off. Said it was like riding a bike. The mailbox man just delivering out there. And the Flash, Rhett Kiesling getting second place. This was another really stacked heat with Bryson Clark, Brenton Hollow-Sharp, that Lane Tiberhine. We're seeing him. He had a new car out, and man, Jordan Pyre was in this one, and Alan Fisher was the other one. Or Alan did not drive in this one. He chose to leave it over there. But yeah, that for those 6 drivers, it was a stacked heat, and Brenton had the lead for what 5 laps, and then he got a little too high, and 3 cars slipped right underneath of him. And, man, it was them 4 right there were racing hard. It was an awesome race for me to watch, and that was just a close battle between all 4 of them.
I think it was all 6 of them. I think everyone was on the lead lap. There was no one that got lapped. It was good, clean racing.
Yeah, it was awesome. Awesome racing, and a lot of the people I talked to said, "Man, that was their heat of the night as so far." There's another one that heats up later, but in Heat 7, we had Landon Worthy and his car from last year. And thing came out and performed well again. He's got a really nice ride there. We'll talk about the feature here in a minute, but he has a really fast car, and him and old Chad Bish bringing home the first and second. Jake Timbrook fought hard to try to get up to third. He got up to third, just didn't have enough for first or second. James Fisher in the slow bulk car got fourth, and he said he kind of misjudged the first couple corners, and we seen that. uh, but Bryce Walter, a newer name to their circuit here. It's good to see him out there. He did pretty good. Matt Youngmeyer looked like he had some problems, and Josh Powers just having tough luck again. Old Hazard. So
Yeah,
we're seeing some really stacked heats.
Yeah, this race was hilarious to watch James try and drive that new car. If you would have told me he won in that car after those first couple laps, I would have laughed right in your face. It was hilarious to watch him try and drive that thing.
Oh yeah, he said it just drove way different in this cabbie. So, I mean, it's never fun when you hit the corner and you're turn around pointing at the car's coming at you before you even get to the tire. But hey, that's part of it. He brought home the win in it. So in heat number 8, Landon Dow, man, he looked sharp all night long. New acquisition for Integrity Motors Racing. I'd say they had a really good pickup in that guy, and he came out and performed, showed the team how to do it. So that Cold DePaul 32C coming in second. And he did awesome driving that car. I don't know if that was his first race or not. Um, that's the name I haven't really recognized on our lineup sheets. So
Yeah, he said it was he tried it before, but he didn't even make it to the track. So this was his first actual race.
he did pretty good making the A main. And Robbie Crater liked his new build. He ran a really good race. He said that he's getting it figured out, and he's just happy to be there. I think a lot of these guys were really happy to be out there first night, work the bugs out of their new rides. We've seen a lot of new cars, a lot more than I thought we would. Come- Who was that Gibson guy?
That was your Belcher's buddy.
Oh, okay. He's the one that showed up late. We
Yeah.
didn't know who it was. Yeah. Yeah, we didn't really have much information on his car or nothing when um he kind of missed the sign-in period. So Dylan White coming in sixth, Josh Womack seventh, and Jay Stark. Man, he started that race out really strong, and I don't know what happened to him at the end of that. He must have did it and pulled an axle or something. But overall, the heats, they were real competitive. I felt like in a whole, and you'd see like a slip up here and there, and it would just cost someone a transfer spot. And it just goes to show that this year, if you mess up once in your heat, you could find yourself, in the B mains. And the way it was on tonight, on our opening night, it was in the B's. You had to win to get in. So it was like do or die, sudden death type stuff. And these guys were going out the B mains and putting on shows, and they were racing each other so hard. And then the B main number one, we had Nick Long come home victorious over Dustin Thompson, which was a really strong showing. I felt like for Dustin, he had a really fast car and just came up one spot short. It was good to see him out there performing well in that Focus. He always stands by them Focuses, and I was looking in his car before that Dustin Thompson's car before the race, and he goes, "Man, I'm gonna add cage to this thing next time." He's got one bar going across, and then he's got the old grater blade setup that we used to see. So he's really, I think he's put more time into this thing, and he might be someone to watch going forward for IMR. Just missed it. And Corey Jenkins wasn't far behind him coming in third. But B main number one was pretty competitive. Oh, what do you think about that? Oh, he's talking. Um, but there's a couple pileups, and I felt like that was kind of the turning point for Nick. He kind of gained some space and worked his way through some of the pileups and stuff, and that kind of led to him bringing home the win. So, overall, it's good to see him make it. I know he's been fighting that car tooth and nail to get it going again. And main number two, we had Jared Snurch, another IMR representative, edging out Nathan Delmermuth in the 20.8. And man, that was a race right here. This John Summers getting third. This B main was back and forth, side by side action, and I didn't know who it was going to be until the end of the race because Nate was running strong, and so was Jared. And it ended up being Jared at the end. But man, this one here was one of my races that I really enjoyed watching just because of the battles that were going on through the field. It was a good racing heat, and
Yeah, Jared, he
not
just
much.
got out too far ahead of Nate. Nate just kept trying to reel him in, reel him in, reel him in. So Jared did a good job. Old John Summers out there in third. Man, him and that car was just meshing. It was fun to watch them. That guy's a wheel man.
Tracy said, "Keep talking." Dustin up. He's gonna have to walk through the garage door. I don't know all the shit talking that goes on between all these teams for all the drivers within their own teams. Um, that B main number four, it was a rough one, man. Or wait, we're on B3. B3 was Dylan Chilton winning in his old car, over Dylan Cardwell, who was just trying to reel him in and just didn't have enough laps. Bryson Clark coming in third. That was another 3 to 4 car battle. Pretty sure. I think Brenton finished fourth in that one. They had top 4 again. That battle was pretty rough in that one.
Yeah, Bryson Clark driving his tail off. I think Dylan got a little bit. He had to do what he had to do. Got into him a little bit and moved him out of the way. But Cardwell had that thing on a rail there on those last laps. He was, I think, in this race in the B3, this is whenever he got the fastest lap. So that's pretty tough to do in a consolation. Usually those come out of heat races, but he was flat booking.
Yeah, he tried climbing up the side of Chilton's car during this race, and just didn't work out too well for him. But he tried. So I had the GoPro in his car, but we didn't tighten it down. So this the GoPros, they have like a screw that screws up through the bottom of the GoPro, the thing that rotates the GoPro where you can set it. Well, that screw comes loose every now and then, so we've got an idea how to fix that. We'll see if it works for the next one, but I didn't think to go around and check that between the heats and the B's. So his looks like he has a 360-degree camera in there. It's like looking out the passenger window and all over the place. He goes, "Yeah, it was all over the place. I kept looking over at it. It was just spinning." So I said, "Yeah, that thing. I forgot to go around and check them." But I'm gonna have that fixed before they even hit the track the next time. So we're gonna put Loctite on them and tighten them down as hard as they'll go for that little screw that goes into the gears. So that shouldn't be an issue anymore. Um, and before that was a rough ride there between Jake Timbrook, and he got into Youngmeyer. He said, "Man, one of my best buddies, one of my favorite drivers out there, and I freaking smoked him in the door." And we had a camera on that car. It was a cool bee to watch. From from what the looking over the hood view from old Jake Timbrook's car, there was sparks flying. His alternator pulley was rubbing so hard it was causing sparks to fly. I think he said he had power steering fluid all over him, but you can see it like flying up in the video. It was awesome. Uh, he hurt that car really bad though, but he was still able to wheel that thing to victory somehow, some way. And I think that Bryce Walter was catching him, but he just didn't. He just ran out of time. So because at the end of that race, he was smoking and marks were flying. It didn't seem like it had the power it normally did. I get down there to take the GoPro. I go down there and he goes, "Oh, scratch me. I'm done racing." And James Fisher walks over, and just to tell you guys how James Fisher is, he said, "Just go hop in my other car." So he let Jake Timbrook drive his cabbie out into the A main. That just goes to show you, I mean, how the drivers are these days. They they work their tails off all winter long, and they let a competitor take their car out there in the A main, knowing good and well it could get destroyed. It could, come back limping. That just goes to show you the camaraderie in the sport. And, if you treat people well out there, they'll treat you back. And we see it all year long, every year. What comes around goes around. And in the past, I'm sure Jake's treated Jake with a lot of respect and stuff, or James. Jake's treated James with a lot of respect, and it just went twofold right there. So
Yeah, it was good things happen to good people. James got his good karma right away. Seemed like man, that guy's got a lot of balls after he's spun that car out that he drove in the feature, to leave old Trusty in someone else's hands and then to go jump in the car that he drove the slow bolt after he literally made half the drivers laugh at him those first couple laps in the heat. And then again, it looked like he was struggling in the consi as well. But yeah, he's got faith in his equipment, faith in his driving style, and ended up taking it home. But I love to hear stories of drivers just giving up their rides for somebody else, knowing that it's the start of the season. I don't know if Jake's planning on making a run for points or if James is, but just knowing that this could come back and bite him in the future, I'm sure he wasn't even thinking of anything like that. He was just wanting to help somebody else. So I'd love to hear stories like that.
yeah, I gotta go back to Chilton's B main. He said Johnny spun him, and I just went around him. uh,
Oh, what
I'm, I'm
Bryson?
getting the play-by-play in the comments section. I forgot to check that. They often update me of what really went on. We've slept since then, so sometimes it's hard to remember every single thing that went on out there. But um, anyway, for me, it is. I watched some of the YouTube videos back before I got on here. I still forgot. But it brought us to our A main, um, where we had James the Fireball Fisher. I think he led the last 7 laps or so. Um, I'm not sure how many laps he led at the end, but
I'm sure it was 7.
uh, I was wrong on my lap pick for the week. I said the winner would lead the last 4 laps, and he's going to lead 4 laps, and the last 2 laps there would be a pass for the lead. And neither one of them came true, so not doing too hot on my Stuart Scott Van Pelt predictions for the figure 8 so far. But I will say I did pick Blaine Tobin to win. He got top 5, so I was pretty thrilled with that. Wasn't too far off there. Driving the way this one started out, man, Blaine took off. He's driving Nathan Dummermuth's car because in that B main, we forgot to mention it, but his car kind of got messed up, and I didn't know what he was doing over there in the passenger seat, but man, you guys got to go watch that B main. I think it was 1, and Tobin's just in the passenger seat. It looks like he's getting ready to strangle his driver. I've got to ask him about that New Bloomfield, what that was about. I don't know if he's telling him to let off or what. He was wrapping the engine out pretty good, so. But
Blaine is
James,
animated, to say the least.
yeah, but Blaine was winning the race for quite a while. We had it was top 6, 7, 8 cars for the first few laps. Everyone was jockeying for positions. You'd see a lot of changes going on throughout the field. It wasn't like they're single file or nothing like that. It was side by side. A lot of diving into the corners, making their moves in the corners, or even through the centers. We'd see some different paths being taken right off the bat. Landon Worthy kind of got a little anxious, decided to try to shoot the gap that wasn't even there and smoke someone in the door. I think he was trying to win it all in the first the first lap. And if he would have made it through there somehow, some way, it definitely would have created a huge gap. But he did not make it through there. at all. So I just seen
Win
him
the race on the first lap,
shaking his head.
lose it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I thought it was crazy because we had Jordan Youngmeyer snapping an axle first corner. He's kind of pushing up, and then we see Landon smoking a car. And I was like, which one of these guys are going to get last? And if you drew a line, Landon had him just barely. So, but
Yeah, we had debated the 18 or 20 car feature or 16 car feature. We just, eventually just said, let's put 20 on there to see how it goes. We certainly didn't plan on, going down to 18 off after one corner.
yeah, and Alan Fisher, he was running. I think he was up towards the top 5, maybe 6th place, and when he pulled an axle and something, I was shocked, man, that Landon Dowell, he was really battling with Blaine there for the first few laps. It wasn't like Blaine was taking off, but he was right there with Blaine and Dylan White and uh man, they were all just right there for the first couple laps. Chilton was coming up through the pack, and I was so when they pulled out on the track, I was shocked Chilton brought his new car out there. Um,
Me too. Me too. That guy is that is not a decision I would have made, but he made it.
yeah.
I think he was itching to try it out.
Well, I
Working
mean,
out for him.
it was gonna work out.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, he come from last to was he in the lead when he broke, or he was in the top three? I know.
no, he was in second or third when he broke.
Yeah.
He never made it quite to the lead, but he was coming for sure.
You know what car wouldn't have broke?
The old trusty
Huge
wouldn't have.
time champ.
But that's for sure. But man, it was such a good battle throughout the field. You're seeing drivers like Chad Bish and Nick Long and that Cole DePole, even Tracy Snurich and Rhett Kiesling, he was making a run for it. Rhett got into the top 4 before he broke or before he got pushed around. I don't know what really happened to him. But Michael Belcher was sticking his nose up there. It was anybody's race the first like 10 laps, I'd say. Um, we started seeing Blaine pulling away, and then there was a moment a red flag came out um, for a bumper, and then next thing you know, they're all just right there again, and you could just see the top like 6 cars right there within striking distance. Dustin Jordan had made his way up there. Um, he took a pretty good door shot. I don't know if you guys seen that. Dustin was kind of showing me where he got hit the door. He goes, "Man, if they keep hitting me like this, I'm gonna have to go to the dune buggies." So, but Dustin Jordan coming in 4th place to um, come back and put it in the podium. I think he was pretty happy with that.
That guy
Um,
is the sneakiest driver. He just loves to hang out like fourth or fifth or sixth, and he'll just hang there and hang there and hang there. And not he's never pushing, trying to make mistakes or really push the envelope, and he'll just hang there till the last 5 laps, and then all of a sudden he just turns it on. That's how he's always been.
oh yeah. Every now and then he'll get out there and lead the whole race or whatever. A few years back at California, I remember he led pretty much the whole race. But most of the time, it's he hangs back and lets what's going to happen play out, and then he'll just start picking them off one at a time and find himself in contention where if something goes awry or something, he'll be right there to capitalize on it. Uh, Jordan Piter, coming home with a strong second place finish over Dylan White in third. Man, them guys were battling every lap. You'd see I was able to track the top four. I felt pretty accurately in my YouTube video. I was gonna do like a running order through the whole thing, but I was like, man, that's just gonna be too much to keep track of. I'll be wrong on some of this. And I went back and watched enough times over and over again. I felt like there was just a lot of jockeying for positions. If you go back and watch that, um, every time they'd come across, there would be different names coming up through the pack. Corey Burton he was coming up through the pack for a little bit, and then he got caught up. He chose the high line, and when he did, Tracy got pushed up right in front of him. I had a GoPro on his car. You could see it. Tracy Snurge getting pushed up when he chose the wrong line, and that kind of put him out of contention for a while. But he was able to get back into seventh place, so that's a pretty solid run for him. And Jake Timbrook coming out getting sixth place. In a borrowed car. He was putting that car in places that, you sit there and watch, you're like, man, he's gonna get hung up here, and he'd just scoot right on through there. I was gonna ask him. I was gonna ask Jake how he liked the 4-cylinder life over his 6 cylinders,
I
but
think you liked it.
I didn't get.
There was a comment after the race. I think it was Andy. He said, if you had two more cylinders, you would have won that race. And Jake said, yeah, that thing had plenty of power, and I could put it wherever he wanted to, and definitely showed it on the tape. There was, just like you were saying, there was times I went back and watched that. I was like, oh yeah, he's gonna have to, put it in reverse or something. He got pushed out behind a dead car, and somehow he'd sneak by and keep his momentum going, and just stay right there. Kept making consistent laps. I think he actually did start dead last, makes his way all the way to sixth in a borrowed car.
Yep.
That was pretty impressive.
Yeah, he's probably the hard charger, I'd say. He's got a reputation for doing that too. But
What is that picture?
how?
Oh, scroll up on the points. That is
That's
not
your
what
guys' website.
that is not what that looked like whenever I was setting it up. That's
What
all
is that?
good.
What is that picture? What you got?
I think that's just a
That looks
stock
like.
picture.
Oh, I thought it was something off the Notebook or something. Kissing in the rain.
No, that's fine.
But,
It was good to see Jordan Pider go out there and kind of keep his momentum going from last season. That guy works as hard as any driver, out here. I know that we talk about how, a lot of these guys work way too much on their cars, and seat time's always, the great, you can't overcome seat time, but there's a couple guys out there that spend so much time into their equipment, making sure it's right, or making sure that they think they go over all the problems that could happen. And he's certainly one of them. So it's good to see those guys, kind of get some return on their investment, on their time investment for sure.
oh yeah, we're just seeing the tip of the iceberg. I don't want to say too much on here, but boy, I've seen some pictures the last couple of days, and I can't wait for New Bloomfield if that's where they choose to bring these cars out, because there's some fresh horses in the stable that are waiting to be unleashed. I'll just say that. I can't wait for them to bring them out wherever they do. I'm not going to say who they are, but they're coming. Uh, but overall, it was a great first night. Great action on the track as far as the racing goes for the figure eight guys. Right after that, we had our powder puff come out.
Before you move
And
on, Jonathan, just to comment on the feature, it was I thought it was awesome. Uh, Watching James kind of take control of 7 laps. Once he got it, there was no stopping him. But we touched on it just watching Chilton start from the back. About right after that red flag, the first one where everyone, I think it was when Belcher rolled over. Uh, that pack of cars right there was, I think we kind of helped Piter whenever he tried to cheat the system a little bit and cheat on that red flag. He said he looked down and seen nothing but mud. He sure was glad whenever we made him back up. But yeah. But after that, I mean, it was at that point I was like, here we go again. Chilton's got it. The race right where he wanted it, and just ran into some bad luck. But between him and Timbrook fighting through the traffic, I think those were my two favorite people to watch this go around.
yeah, I don't know. I felt like we were getting ready to see it get amped up even more because that first red flag, them drivers looked around like, oh my gosh, we're all right here. And it was getting ready to be on, and it was on. And I meant to ask James and the drivers, did you know where you were, like on the track? Because that's something, sometimes you know exactly where you're at, sometimes you don't really know how well you're doing. And I felt like they all knew who was up there with them that night. And uh, you could tell when they were racing each other, they were racing hard, but they were racing pretty clean.
Yeah, I mean it was your video, by the way. Just props to your feature video. I went back and watched it, and I think you showing the standings really, you can see the races develop and see when people are turning it up or what that top four leaderboard is pretty awesome. But yeah, it's just a testament to how close these races are now. Nate, or not Nate, but whoever was driving the 20.8, Blaine, I think he led most of the first laps or was up top, top two. He definitely knew whenever he took the lead. I think he led for 4 or 5 laps, and he was leading right up until that red flag. And then he got, he didn't even get turned all the way around, but just a little bit coming into whatever turn one, or I guess you would call it. Whenever he got turned around, he lost the lead. I think 3 cars passed him, or 2 cars passed him. Just
Five. 5 cars passed them. I was just watching it.
Yeah.
And that's what I was telling James before you got on here. I said, one little mistake, one hiccup, and it was so competitive that you would be down like 5 to 7 spots. You could see there was different cars like throughout the race. You'd see them, they were doing really well, and they'd have one bobble. And next thing you know, they're way back there.
Yep.
And it didn't used to be like that. You could make a couple mistakes, but now you make one little mistake and it could cost you the whole race, and it did. So
Yeah, it was awesome. I thought it was a great start to the Worthy 2024 Worthy Bail Bonds Points Championship.
for sure.
Kudos to these drivers. It was 20 cars on that track. A little bit over, more than half of them drove off, and they were putting on the line.
And the ones that didn't drive off, it wasn't like their cars were destroyed. It was just like axles, or I know 4 of the drivers I talked to were axles. One was so I was talking to Hans Anderson, and he was doing really well in his B. And what happened to him is his um, spindle just broke clean off, and he was out there looking for a replacement spindle for it. So um, it's just little stuff like that. The parts that these guys are building, a lot of the fans like of the sport, they can be at the track and not know these guys are building like built tie rod ends, built they're building up their struts, they're building up their A arms, they're building up everything, to try to withstand the abuse that's going to go throughout the year. So
Yeah, just yeah, top two of the top three V6s, baby.
yeah, yep, that's right.
Just throwing that out there.
Didn't have no comeback for that. Yep. So did you pick to win the race?
I picked Chilton.
I had a better pick.
Oh, let's talk about the powder puff, then we'll come back to picks.
Okay. Powder puffs. All right. We had Angie Burton and Queen Lexi putting on a show side by side for first and second. They had a race, and it was one of them races that you knew like it was going to be a cat fight at the end. You just didn't know who was going to throw the first like punch or claw out there for the sake of speech. Them girls were battling, and Lexus was trying to make her move at the end, but Angie held her line pretty good. She came home with the win. Beth Anderson got third, Brooklyn Billman fourth, and Samantha Chapman rounded out your fifth place. We had 5 cars. The Powder Puff. We were hoping to see a little bit more. But first race of the year, you never know how many Powder Puffs are going to show up. And I was actually shocked we didn't have 6, but she had there was one more driver going to be there, but she got too cold throughout the night, so we went ahead and loaded the car up and strapped it down.
Well,
Should
we
be
only
in
only had 2 last year at this race. 2 powder puff.
Yeah, Sarah already said she'll be out there in June. So,
Oh, she gonna drive? Heck yeah.
oh yeah, that car's ready.
Yeah,
It's
I seen Ferguson post. I don't know if she's done or what, but they
yeah.
put out some post that made it sound like maybe they were just switching to derbies. So maybe they sold that car.
I didn't see it listed for sale, but I'll be watching out for it if it is. That's a good car there. She's she's kept good care of that car. A lot of races left in that one if she is selling it. So I'll have to keep my eye out for that. I didn't see that. Was it posted on Facebook or something?
Well, I didn't see the car for sale. I just seen that FR Racing was retiring or something along those lines that FR Racing was done racing.
Yeah, I'll have to
Something.
look
I
out
don't
for
know.
that.
It was pretty cryptic. I'm not a very good code reader.
Yeah, me either. Obviously, I still work for the state, but uh yeah, overall it was a great first opening night.
Yeah,
I don't
I
know.
thought it went well. I think definitely had the first race unforeseen issues with the system to start with. It crashed, and I think it lost some hair that night, but we got it all up and running. Just thanks to the drivers and the fans and everyone else for your patience. We didn't really get a bunch of people complaining about it. I know that the youth show was going on whenever we were dealing with that, so it's always nice to have something in front of people, and the announcer's pretty good at stalling as well. But
Yeah, he goes, man, this thing crashed. I was like, oh, I'll stall. Hold on. I'll just say I have to go load up my daughter's car. Told everybody I gotta go load up daughter's car, and yeah, she's having problems down there. I'll be right back. So that's 5 minutes. I was timing myself. I was like, well, there goes an extra 5 minutes right there. So, man, that's a long run down there and back though. We did this tough mudder this weekend, and I was like, man, I'm out of shape if I gotta go run freaking 3, 5, 10 miles next week. I don't know how it's gonna go. So, uh, yeah, that was rough, but I'm glad, the crowd, I didn't hear one complaint that whole time, that we were waiting for everybody to get re-signed in. I think everybody kind of understood, technology happens sometimes, and um, it seemed like it worked really good after everything was online. So
Yeah, that was totally my fault. I'm not gonna get in the weeds, but I was trying something new and then it didn't work. But then it did, and it wiped everything out. So we're definitely we're still learning. We're trying to
oh
make
yeah,
improvements on the system. So, but yep,
yeah, and
everything
that's
worked good after.
that's what I'm kind of in the same boat. I'm learning, got all these new video editing apps and stuff this year, like full on editing stuff, and I'm still learning new tips and tricks on this each and every time. I'm hoping by mid-season I have a sweet video for you guys, but um, we're working on all that. So.
Hell yeah. Oh yeah, getting to what everyone wants to hear about our picks here, Jonathan.
Yeah, let's hear them. What was it?
So
Did you
here's where the picks. So to win, I picked Chilton, you picked Blaine. Um, obviously Fisher won, so neither of us. Gonna go for
Yeah,
neither of us. Okay. Car count over under was 51. You obviously went over. I went under. It was 61. So T1 up for Jonathan there.
pretty good line.
Yeah. Grand Prix. The line was set at 8. There's actually 12 Grand Prix there. So you went under, I went over. So that's on me.
You watch that video back? I went under on that one.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Uh, Laps, winner led in the feature. Line was set at 6.5. I went over, you went under.
oh, 4.
Yeah, you said 4, I said 8, so set the line at 6.5.
Number one.
2-1, Joshua. Cavies. Cavies. We set the line at 19. There was actually 16, 18 if you count cobalts. So me again. Yeah,
You
there's
need
a
to go
bunch
back
of
and you need to go
huh?
back and recount that.
I went back and watched all the heats and picked out the cars. So I guess, yeah, no, I mean that's what it was. And then the last two, so we were at 3-1. Last two, Powder Puff. You picked Angie. I picked someone that wasn't even there. Thanks for ruining my streak here, Darian. So Angie, and then again, you picked Hunter, and I picked someone that wasn't even there. So 3-3 to be continued on the old New Bloomfield preview
Yeah.
show.
Yeah, I talked to Henry before the day before because he donated some plates for Rayleigh's car with his 573 wrecking crew. I went to pick up the sticker that he had made for her car, and he goes, yeah, I don't know if Jace will be there. If he keeps mouthing, he won't be there. So he must have kept mouthing. And we were both right on the old why little Turpin wasn't going to be racing. He was in trouble.
Oh, did you get the story on it?
Yeah, he told me all about it.
Oh, he didn't tell me. I'll have to get it out of him.
All right, he'll tell you about it next show. I guarantee it. Hayden has a Facebook now, though, so hope he don't get in trouble on that too. But yeah, we got some Derby news a little bit just to touch on. I think we're pretty much done with the Lucky Sevens opening night stuff, right?
Yeah, I'll just before you get to the Derby stuff, New Bloomfield 2 weeks from now. So we talk about how a lot of the local guys work to try and make that better. I just want to plug Jordan Piter. He's running, he's like our featured sponsor. And He's got we got some big ass trophies and some big ass Happy Gilmore checks coming for the winners. Top four drivers and powder puff and youth drivers. These trophies are massive and checks look pretty cool. So just a little extra incentive for the guys that are on the fence about running. It's definitely a show. If I was driving, I'd be wanting to go and win because trophies and checks are sweet.
Wayne Rayleigh's going to listen to this and say, Dad, I need to skip that softball tournament.
Yeah,
Oh,
I think yeah, the youth and the powder puff. I think we got a check for the winner of those two. So
oh, she could care less. She was ready to skip the softball tournament the other day, but I told her it's the same day, and she goes, "I'll just skip," but Mom kind of overruled that, so I'd be fine with her missing the last game or something. But she's she's committed, so.
sports are pretty important.
But man, she had a blast though out there, and uh, she said, "Man, I was just getting into it," and she said that little boy passed me, and I wasn't gonna let that happen, so I just forgot to turn. She drove right through him and right up on the concrete. Because we were watching the GoPro back, she didn't turn at all. It's like, what the heck happened there? She goes, I wasn't even watching the corner. I was looking over at that car saying, you ain't gonna pass me. So it's cool hearing the perspective but man, that's, yeah. And I kind of touched on what we're going to do with our GoPros for the drivers. We're going to try to have one in every heat for the New Bloomfield race. But we'll get into that more as the coming weeks coming up for that show. But we got a good idea. I think it's going to work out great down there. So, and I won't have to be running back and forth either. So that'd be good. So, some news, just news in the Derby world. Sam Williams announced that he's going to have a team show in the spring, which is going to be very helpful to a lot of the major derbies. I don't know if you heard about that, but it's going to be in Wisconsin, and he threw out some really big monies already for the purse and stuff. And man, it seems like to me that I get excited when I see stuff like that happening in the derby world because it's just I feel like pretty soon there's going to be some big sponsors really drawing in on this sport, and there's some big money back in these big shows, and I think it's all going to trickle down, and I'm hoping it does soon to more of the local guys. And seeing just these big shows, I know a lot of big sponsors are going to start to get involved, and I think we're going to start to see trickle down from that. So, but man, we had Spring X. We had all kinds of shows. We had the Smashing for Skinny. They had Dead Man this weekend. It was a lot of derbying going on around the United States. None in Missouri though. And I, I see some of these shows, and man, these guys are hitting hard, and it just gets me excited because I know some of the drivers I talked to that told me they were going to show up at some of the Lucky Seven stuff this year. They run the same way. They run balls to the wall, and they're here to put on shows. And I can't wait to capture some of that for you guys this year. So
There's all these
that's
big
just
shows quit being 12 hours away.
yeah.
That Sam show it's in Madison, Wisconsin. That's 12 hours. Bristol, Tennessee, there's a show going on this year, and that's 12 hours away. It just I'd love to go run those shows, but man, I don't think I got a vehicle reliable enough to get me there.
I'd love to go, watch some of them too. And I'm thinking, yeah, that's a rental car for me. Well, everyone knows I'm driving an old beater with a heater, and I don't know. I trust it, but not that good. So I will say that car hasn't let me down yet. So the old green machine keeps ticking. Once it doesn't, it's going to be a figure-8 car, though. Already got its next life plan for it, but I think that's gonna pretty much do it for this episode of the Crashed It podcast. We thank everybody for tuning in on the live on the YouTube, commenting, keeping the chat rolling. It's always fun to check that out, and pretty soon I'm gonna have that chat fired up on our screen where it comes across like comments and stuff. I'm still doing some research. I think all I have to do is buy a little box so I can pin them and send them over all at once. So we're working on that. And I see some of these streams they have that where their chats pop up, and I've been asking them how are they getting that happening. So I know these comments. I think for the people that watch it are, man, if you go into the live comment section, they're pretty entertaining to just to follow along to see the trash talking that happens during these episodes. And I know the drivers sure have fun with it. So all in all, our next show is gonna be in New Bloomfield.
Yep, pumped for it.
May 11th, Saturday, May 11th in Boonville, Missouri, or I meant in New Bloomfield, Missouri. Uh, it's gonna be. I think this is gonna be the one that sets it finally. I think the track Corey Burton's gonna have that track right this time. They're not gonna ruin it for him, and there's a lot of people that want this show to go over good. And I think this year is gonna be the one that the track's going to be right from the get-go, and there's just going to be the mini Bristol of Missouri right here. You're going to see some rubbing and racing, and it's a lot of action. A lot of locals trying to win it for their hometown, so I can't wait. But
It'll be the race that changes people's plans for the summer too.
yeah,
Because if you're in it after 2 or 3 races, then you're like, ooh, maybe I might not go fishing that one weekend. I better just stay home and go racing.
our vacation ends this day. We're gonna have a car hauled there. We're gonna go straight to the track, jump in, register and sign in and go. And I don't know if you've talked to Dad lately, but he's taking his cruise there, and he goes, "Man, Lake Ozark Nationals is that weekend we're getting back, so I'm gonna have my truck and trailer hauled to the track, and I'm just gonna show up and race." So I go, yeah, I can see some of our figure-8 guys doing that same thing. Like, man, I gotta be here for my family, but we're gonna go racing too at the same time. So we're gonna make it happen. So
Yeah.
yeah, I had a couple summers
Surfing
like
after the
that too.
wedding deal.
Yeah.
Showing up in a tux.
Oh yeah. I remember that. Still the best dressed driver in the history of figure-8 racing. Skirt turn in a tux. So but yep, that'll do it for this episode. We thank everybody for tuning in, like we said, and go out there, send it and bend it, baby. Thanks for joining us.
Send them and bend.
Oh yeah. Send them and bend them. But